So, I've been talking for a while now that March 2021 was gonna be filled with Sword Art Online news, including the progressive Aria of a Starless Night movie news, and now it's actually time to talk about what we can possibly expect from Kadokawa Expo taking place on March 6th and 7th, and Anime Japan taking place on March 27 to 30. As always, welcome to my channel, it's me Gamerturk, your best source of Sword Art Online information on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for the most recent news on Sword Art Online. And now, let's talk about what we can expect from Kadokawa Expo and Anime Japan 2021 respectively. So initially we thought Kadokawa Expo was gonna be more Sword Art Online games and other media oriented rather than the movie, and that they would save some of those big movie news over to Anime Japan because that was more prestigious in a sense. But turns out that was not the case, so we're starting immediately with those progressive movie news expectations. Let's get that out of the way first. So, during that Kadokawa Expo, the progressive movie stage has been very recently revealed and will take place on March 7th. Kirito's voice actor Yoshitsugu Matsuoka and Shirika's voice actor Hidaka Rina will be the guests on the panel. I know some of you may be confused by Hidaka Rina's appearance because Shirika has nothing to do with progressive. But don't be confused, Hidaka Rina is just a lovely person, very energetic, very likable on camera, and works both as a great guest as well as a host at the same time. So she's been appearing on SAO streams quite often as a mishmash of those two specific roles. Don't get hyped about any Shirika content or anything in the movie. But what we can actually expect from this panel is, first off, there is a big possibility now that Aria movie has its own stage like this. It's possible that we'll get the new trailer over in this panel along with a release date if they're releasing it sometime in spring as they originally intended, and possibly no date if they actually delayed the movie slightly and waiting for COVID to become a little bit more predictable. But either way, whether they are gonna delay internally the release of the movie or not, I do feel like we got a good chance at getting our trailer over here in Kadokawa Expo on March 7th. Now, of course, if we do get a trailer, or even if we don't get a new trailer, do expect a little bit more staff reveal for some of the key roles that we currently do not know. And tying into that key staff, if we get a trailer, do expect some sort of a reveal for the theme of the movie. It's the theme at this point, it's not the opening, because movies don't have openings. Back in Ornal Scale, Catch the Moment from Lisa was also the movie theme rather than the opening. But yeah, if we get a trailer, do expect a reveal for the actual theme song. If we don't get a trailer, at the very least you can expect potentially the singer and the name of the song. These are definitely the likeliest things that you can reasonably expect. Of course, it's a 40-minute stage, it's gonna have way too much fluff. Expect some quiz events and things like that probably won't interest you. But yeah, with that recent reveal of Progressive having its own stage, it's definitely not as dull as we expected it to be in regards to Progressive movie news. But Kadokawa Expo will not just focus on those movie news, there's gonna be a whole lot more, which I have my notes set up right here. Aside from the movie news, chances are we are gonna get some Progressive Volume 7 talks. As you probably know, Progressive 7, the story of Floor 7, potentially the entire story of Floor 7, we don't yet exactly know. It may be a split floor again into two volumes, which I would doubt, but it's possible. It's gonna be releasing on March 10th, so the event is taken 3 days before the release of the book. Chances are we may get some additional previews, some talks about the book's content itself, etc., just for that additional publicity 3 days before the book's release. And I know you're gonna ask, when's the book releasing in English? To which I have to say, we don't know, ask Yampress please. Considering Yampress is already caught up with the Progressive releases, chances are Progressive 7 will be translated within the year, so before we switch over to 2022. But don't hold your breath for it. Chances are they are starting the translation after the book has been released. They license it after the book has been released, bringing it over, starting to translate, and then starting to, start printing, delivering to all the retailers, etc. It's a long process, but you can somewhat reasonably expect it to be sometime within 2021. Aside from that, of course, Sword Art Online games are at this point a huge focus for the series. It's making an immense amount of money, whether mobile or console. So we are having an SAO game stage there as well. If I remember correctly, Futami is gonna be there rather than Minami. And with that, we can reasonably expect some Selka DLC news, maybe a showcase of the boss and some small event previews like we had with the teaser DLC earlier. And more importantly, since this is actually a big event, it's an actual expo, we can potentially get some more previews for Sword Art Online Myosotis, aka Forget Me Not, the first paid DLC, which is gonna be coming sometime this year after all 4 free DLCs have been released, and we still don't know, we barely know anything about Myosotis, so it's about time they give us something about its plot. I mean, everyone's kind of excited for that Evil King Yujo teaser that we received, which is pretty much the only thing we have received regarding the story. Every other preview we got a Shinon preview a while back, featuring a scene with Kirito and Shinon at an onsen and something like that, but that had nothing to do with the story. The only thing right now that we know about the story is that something happened to Yujo and he's like an evil king. So yeah, it definitely would be nice if we get to learn a bit more about the context of the DLC. I don't expect any news about the second paid DLC. It's pretty clear they're keeping that under the wraps because potentially it's gonna build up on Myosotis. So first we'll get Myosotis entirely revealed and then we'll probably move over to that second paid DLC reveals, etc, etc. By the way, you can find all these previews. We have translated all of them with SAO Wiki. If you click the icon on the top left, far over there, or just by checking the description, potentially I'll put them over there as well. But at the moment, Lycoris is not exactly the main focus of the SAO game fans, especially because of the recently filed trademark by Kadokawa for one Sword Art Online Variant Showdown. Again, I made an entire video about that. We barely know anything about the game, so top left, you can check that out for more information. But if we're gonna get anything about the game anytime soon, any kind of reveals, it's probably gonna be at the Kadokawa Expo. You know, it's their IP. Anime Japan is more anime medium oriented rather than general stuff around anime IPs. So this is pretty much the best place to reveal something about that Variant Showdown. Again, we don't know if it's a mobile game, we don't know if it's a console game. The title sounds like it's gonna be a fighting game, but even that is a far-fetched assumption because we know for a fact we can't assume anything based on titles when we have things like Alicization Blading, which is translated as Rising Steel, which doesn't make more sense than Blading does. We have Millennium Twilight, we have Hollow Realization, we get, you know, we can't make assumptions based on names exactly. So if we're gonna get anything, it's gonna be in the Kadokawa Expo. But don't go in expecting anything about this. It may just be, you know, they filed a trademark just to get ready for 3 years into the future. It may be something like that as well. Don't religiously expect something about Variant Showdown. It's just, we might, there's a small chance that we may get a reveal about this. But of course, after that we got Anime Japan 2021 taking place on March 27th to March 30th. The thing is, the expectations you will have from Anime Japan 2021 completely depends on what we get over here on Kadokawa Expo. If we get a whole lot of stuff on Kadokawa Expo, then we'll barely get anything new in Anime Japan. It's gonna be a rehash of what we got in Kadokawa Expo. That's why we initially assumed, you know, they're gonna have a very light progressive movie mention in Kadokawa Expo and then have the proper progressive stage over on Anime Japan. But now that they have an actual progressive stage at Kadokawa Expo as well, the scene got a little muddled. So the expectations are not exactly set in stone at this moment, and depending on how much they give during the Kadokawa Expo progressive stage, you can set your expectations accordingly for Anime Japan only after that. Either way, we're definitely getting a trailer in one of these two. That much I can certainly say at this point. We can definitely expect more staff reveals in one of these two, either Kadokawa Expo or Anime Japan. One thing they can potentially do, they run the trailer with a release window in Kadokawa Expo, And then once Anime Japan comes, they actually plaster the proper release date of the movie. They can do that, there is enough of a time difference in between, etc., all that kind of stuff. But that's pretty much all I can say regarding what you can expect in terms of a difference between the two. One will set the expectations for the other. We're definitely getting a trailer either way. We're most certainly getting a movie theme reveal either way. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this sets up your expectations accordingly. I will have to stress this. These are my assumptions. Don't take them and run with them. Don't go around spreading, oh my god, we're definitely getting this and that during this and that event. No, these are my assumptions. You know, the internet is a pretty weird place where you say your assumptions and people take it like it's gospel. Nah, these are just what I expect from those events. They may end up being true, they may not end up being true. So don't be disappointed just because I had higher expectations, or don't come here discrediting me if I had too low expectations and they ended up giving us something a whole lot more than what I expected. It's possible. It's always possible when you're assuming stuff. That's because they're assumptions. Anyways, I hope this was kind of a helpful video as to, you know, set your own expectations with the knowledge that these are my personal expectations, of course. If it did, you know, hit that like button, subscribe for more Sword Art Online stuff. We'll be covering all these news with SAO Wikia with full translations after the events actually happen, so you can stay tuned for that. Lens Squad and more available in my Teespring page, which is now named Spring instead, and I can't be bothered to change all my old references in the things I copy-paste. So do check it out if you're interested. Become a channel member to support the channel, or become a patron to support the channel. A huge thanks to all my patrons and channel members as always, and I will see you next time. Until then, stay cool.